Okay, everyone has to acknowledge the recording. And then let me say the welcome to everyone. This is Genealogy, Carlentini, Omaha, and beyond. And today is September 26, 2023. And we are very fortunate to have special guests with us from the Douglas County Historical Society. But before we get started, I have just a couple of really fantastic announcements. Luca Giorgio has downloaded the Find a Grave app onto her phone. When you use the Find a Grave app to take pictures in a cemetery, it immediately uploads them to findagrave.com. And in addition to the picture, it also puts in the GPS coordinates, which I'm so excited to show this to you guys. So let me just show this real quick before we have our speaker. So, okay, so I'm in the process of transcribing, and this is what a transcription page looks like. But if we click here on the link to the cemetery, in the view memorial, okay, so here's what we just did. And so, sure, you can see the original. And this is Filippo Berlingueri and
Berlingueri.
But if you go back to their memorial, you can see here where it says show map. See how the GPS coordinates are on the map? If you click on that, it'll open up a map of the cemetery. Now, one of the options is, of course, to change to the satellite view. And then it tells you it's in this part of the cemetery. You could actually send these coordinates to your phone. Say, for example, you were in the cemetery, you can click here, and then it would give you walking directions to those coordinates.
That's huge. Especially that cemetery's large.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
So this one is in the trees, but it gives you some idea where it's at. And, when you look at the overview of the cemetery, it is huge. I mean, someone estimated 20,000 graves. So obviously 200 divided by 20,000, I don't know how much is that. 20,000 divided 200. Okay, so that would take 100 visits, 100 2-hour visits to get the whole thing done. So I guess that's my budget in terms of trying to get additional funds. But it's exciting, one small step.
That's awesome.
So before I introduce Elise, I am going to just go around the room and say hello to everyone. Diane LaFurla was the first one on the call. And Diane, what city are you in?
We're in Waterloo, just west of Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay. And Mary Kay Lynch is in Omaha. Mary Ann Safio is in Omaha. Tom Buckley is in Omaha.
No,
Fred,
I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. That's where I
oh,
live. Is
that's
Memphis.
right.
Yeah, I live in
Yeah,
Memphis.
I forgot. Thanks for reminding me, Tom. You were born in Omaha, though, right?
Yeah, and my family still lives there. I'm the black sheep. I
Okay.
left.
And Fred Giudice was born in Omaha as well, but he lives in San Jose, California. And as you can see from his background photo there, he is a football coach at Stanford University.
Oh,
So
wow.
we have a very august member of our crew here. Joe Nigro. Joe, where are you at? Your microphone is muted. I forget where you live.
I live in Lincoln, Nebraska. I grew up
In
in
Lincoln.
Omaha, but I live in Lincoln.
And that's why you're associated with the professor.
Yes, yeah, that's how I met him. I was going to say when you were showing those cemetery photos, I don't know if it's true for Lentini, but the cemetery in Carlentini, after a grave has been there 100 years, unless somebody pays money, they dump the body into a mass grave. Because I know my great grandfather's grave was there the first time I went, but it's not anymore. And so I'm just saying that if people go to Carlentini and they want to do research farther up the family tree, you're unlikely to go very far in the cemetery.
That's right.
Mm.
Yeah, my main reason for the cemetery, well, when you look at it and you look at, you can actually do a search on Find a Grave for a date range, and you can ask it for all of the burials that occurred or the deaths that occurred between uh, the year 2000 and the year 2020. And that's going to be a very large number at the cemetery because only the fairly recent burials are the ones that are in the cemetery. Most people can't afford a long-term uh, plot. So anyway, okay. So Jeremy Garcia, are you in Houston today? And Pat Kruger is in Dana Point, California.
Yes, yes.
And Susan Finley is north of Chicago in a city whose name I always
Glenview,
forget. Glenview,
Illinois. But was
Glenview,
born in
Illinois.
Omaha.
And Sebastiano Belfiore, better known as Nuccio, is in northern Italy, kind of near Milan, I think, isn't it? Sebastiano Nuccio? Near Milano. And Kat Connolly is in Los Angeles. And Stephen Hugg, where are you, sir?
I am in Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha. Tina McGowan is, I believe, in Omaha. And Monica is in Omaha. Monica, uh, you didn't register with your last name, Monica, so you're kind of going under the radar here. And then Jim Beckman is our genealogist with the mostest from Omaha, in Omaha. So anyway, Elise, that's our group. So group, Elise O'Neill is the collections manager, is it, Elise?
Coordinator.
I'm sorry, coordinator. And the thing I thought was cool on your email address, it says archivist at douglascounty.org or douglascountyhistory.org.
Mhm.
And so so it's an archive, but it's also a collection. So can you kind of explain the difference between a collection and an archive?
Oh gosh. Well, we kind of do both here. Because we have a lot of documents, a lot of paper documents and photos, things like that. But then we also have objects, so textiles, more collection-y type things, I guess, in your head. But it all kind of falls under the same scope, which I'll kind of explain in my presentation. But and I'm also here with Liz Booten, who is our research specialist. And we're here in Omaha.
At historic Fort Omaha.
Mhm.
For those of you who were with us a few weeks back, you probably recall the story that the Italian prisoners of war were held at Fort Omaha.
Yep.
And there was actually socializing going on between the Italian prisoners of war and the citizens of Little Italy, and Fred was telling us stories about that. So that I thought was pretty fascinating.
And Mr. C's was across the street.
Yep,
Mr. C's.
restaurant.
And of course, Metropolitan Community Colleges is co-located with you guys at this point.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mr. C's is gone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Were there any remnants?
No, they knocked it down and they put up a huge building.
Hmm.
So it's like it's never was there.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask is that everyone mute their microphone, and if you are unable to mute your microphone, I will do it for you. It looks like everybody has cooperated, so thank you very much, folks. All right, Elise, I'm going to turn it over to you now. I'm going to leave my microphone open. So if you hear snoring, it means you need to pick up the pace.
Okay. So a lot of you are originally from Omaha or living in Omaha right now. And I know I recognize at least one name, Marianne Safio. I know about you. And so many of you are probably familiar with us. Many of you probably not. So we are the Douglas County Historical Society, which is the county that Omaha is located in, and so is Waterloo. But we run in tandem, our archive center runs in tandem with the General Crook House Museum here on Fort Omaha, which is a house museum, restored 1879 Victorian mansion and working museum, and yeah, on Fort Omaha. And that's historically kind of been the more visible side of DCHS, which is our acronym. But I'm going to kind of talk about a less well-known resource, which is us, the Archive Center, available through the same institution. I have a PowerPoint. Should I pull it up, share my screen?
Sure, that'd be great.
Let me see. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you a tiny bit of our history and then kind of get into what resources we have that are available and that y'all might be able to utilize. So the Archive Center was founded in 1982, and that's our building right there, by members of the community who had an interest in collecting and preserving local history as an arm of the Douglas County Historical Society, which had formed in the mid-50s. Prior to 1982, these individuals had a kind of unofficial collection that was stored in various places around town. So our mission is to preserve and enliven historical insight in Douglas County, Nebraska. In 1982, the collection was moved to its current permanent location on Fort Omaha. We're in that building right now. We're in a former officers' lodging that was originally a duplex, but the library, the archive center occupies both sides, and several dividing walls have been opened. So we're a pretty large building. In 1996, we became an official repository for Douglas County. So whenever county offices are purging records or getting rid of originals, they come to us first. One example is that we have marriage records for the county dating back to 1856. Though our building is quite large, in order to properly store collection objects responsibly for easy accessibility, some parts of the collection are stored next door in the Crook House. And then we have a secondary offsite storage location. So the majority of our costume collection resides in the Crook House. And then we have there have been a lot of marriages over the years in Douglas County since 1856. And so a lot of that overflow is in our offsite location. So what do we collect / archive? We're open to archiving pretty much any item that fits within the scope of our mission to preserve and enliven historical insight in Douglas County, Nebraska. This could be any number of things: old photographs, internal records from local businesses, a book about a Douglas County native, a piece of silver etched with a logo for an Omaha social club, transmiss, ephemera, things like that, letters, journals. This does mean that we find ourselves saying no to some items. Storage space and preservation materials are both at a premium, and we do sometimes have to turn away beautiful antiques or funky collectibles because they just don't tell a story that's specific to Douglas County. So in the past, our scope for acquisitions wasn't always so narrow, and sometimes we'll come across things in the collection that no longer fit. So for example, in my first few months at DCHS, I found a pair of bloomers worn by a pioneer girl in Deadwood. And I'm sure they were accessioned into the collection because of their Western heritage, but they're not something that we would accept in the collection today because they had no relation to Douglas County. As I said, we're an official repository for the county, but the vast majority of items in our collection come from small-scale private donors. Some are longtime members, some are people who go antiquing in Buffalo, New York, and come across a set of World War II dog tags that list an Omaha, Nebraska address. So people call us from all over the country. Many, many people bring in items that have been in their families for a long time, that they found in the walls of their house or that their employer might be getting rid of. And they're just looking for a permanent home where the item might be of use someday. So how do we use these items? Why do we collect them? As the collections coordinator, I oversee pretty much every use of our holdings, both internal and external. So I'm just going to briefly talk about what that looks like. So we do yearly exhibitions. So DCHS researches, designs, and hosts an annual exhibit on display to the public next door in the General Crook House Museum. But a lot of what you see on exhibit was curated by the Archive Center staff. So me, Liz, a couple other staff members. It usually cycles from June through the following May. We take a general topic of local history and examine it in as much depth as possible. Our collection usually serves as a primary source for research and the basis for the display. So if we have a lot to dig into in our own collection on a certain topic, we're more likely to feature that topic in an exhibit. An example is our current exhibit, which is Sharing the Glory, the History of Baseball in Omaha. We dig into the history of College World Series, early professional teams. There was an early professional team called the Omahogs. Community neighborhood leagues, various fields, Women's College World Series, things like that. And then we collaborate with other archives and collections, museums, private owners who lend us objects that we put on display for a year. So our exhibits usually include wraparound programming throughout the year. And then other exhibits have included the history of Omaha's ethnic groups. So we had a huge Italian section at that point. The World War I balloon school based at Fort Omaha, the Prohibition era, and last year, the history of the automobile in Omaha. Question?
Yes. Going back to the baseball stadiums, do you have pictures of the one that was down on about 15th and Vinton?
Yes, we do. we get into that. Yeah. It's been called many different things. In the exhibit, we settled on Rourke Park because that's what we heard most commonly, but that burned down in the 30s. Yeah.
Yeah, that preceded Rosenblatt. So
yeah, we do have a whole section on historic stadiums, and that is featured heavily. It's super interesting. When people see pictures of it, they're like shocked that existed in that area.
Well, the houses down there don't match anything else that's in the area. Yeah, because they are mostly brick. And I've been trying to find some pictures of it and just kind of curious. Are there any pictures online that I could see?
So Jim, I'm going to ask folks to post their questions in the chat log. If you can look at view options and exit full screen, then you can bring up the chat log and see what some of the things that I've put in the chat log. But let's let Elise finish, and then we'll save our questions till the end. Thank you.
But pictures do exist, and we can tell you how to view them. Okay, so, and then our 2024-2025 exhibit will focus on the legacy of film in Omaha, which we're excited about. We've also been putting up mini holiday exhibits recently. So the picture with a Christmas tree in it is from one of those. One of my favorite holiday exhibits that we did was we had local ethnic communities come in, decorate a room. So we had like a Filipino room. The Italian room was crazy. It was amazing. There was like a whole witch in there. But we try to use as much from our collection as we can. We also use a variety of public outreach programs. I'm trying to go to the next slide and it's not letting me. Yeah. So we also use a variety of public outreach programs and one-off events to share as many stories on as many different platforms as we can. One of our platforms is our blog, where we post monthly mid-length articles, where we can tell like smaller stories that wouldn't necessarily fit a whole exhibit. We do field trips and tours. We also do second Sunday lectures. So every Sunday, or every month, the second Sunday, we have usually someone who has expertise on a certain facet of history in Omaha or in Douglas County, come to talk for about an hour. Sometimes staff speaks, sometimes it's based on something in the collection. We also do an annual fashion show with costumes from our collection, which is exciting. And then the big thing that we're here to talk about, I'm kind of going to skip through that, is our Archive Center. So the DCHS Archive Center is open by appointment to any member of the public who is interested in researching local topics. There are a few really common requests. So genealogists will contact us regularly, Liz regularly, both professional and amateur. As I said, we do have marriage records for the county. We get a lot of people reaching out about naturalization paperwork. which we do have from about 1856 to about 1930. So we have declarations of intention to naturalize, oaths of allegiance. Some of that is behind us right now. Lots of people doing family research, lots of people applying for dual citizenship. And then Liz gets a lot of requests from people wanting to research their old home. We have city directories dating back to the 1870s, and then we have fire insurance or plat maps from the mid 1900s. So there's a lot that we can find. We have a lot of resources. We get all kinds of questions from people literally down the street and around the world who are researching individuals, businesses, antiques that were produced in Omaha, all kinds of stuff. Didn't you get a call from like Canada? Yeah.
About a saddle.
About a saddle that was made in Omaha. People can come do research for themselves if they make an appointment in advance with our research specialist. We do occasionally take walk-ins if it's something that won't take much time to find. But a lot of times people want to kind of go in depth. So an appointment is the best way to make progress. Or if you're an out-of-towner, calling Liz or emailing Liz. And I think I gave you her information, but I'll do it again one overarching goal that we have at DCHS with all the collecting and preservation work that we do is that of future accessibility. So we want people to know that we exist. We want to be able to use these incredible objects as tools for education and research. I always say that there's no point in housing all these items for decades if no one ever gets to see them or learn from them. So through exhibits, programming, and then of course our online catalog, which is always being updated, we hope that more people than ever before will be able to access our collections and glean from them what they can. I have a little bit more to say about that, the online aspect, which kind of dovetails with your earlier question about how to see images. So one thing that we're really proud of is a question that we get a lot that we almost never have an answer to is, do you have photographs of my ancestors or relatives? So we have thousands of photographs and relatively fewer of individuals, and even fewer have actual identifications written on them. And then fewer still have been fully cataloged into our relatively new searchable database. And so we're kind of actively working on that right now. When we take in photos at this point, if there's people in them, we want to make sure that those people are identifiable, because then when y'all want to find a photo of your great-great-grandfather, you can search by their name instead of just, man, and going through every single man in our collection. Each of the photos on this slide that you're looking at right now was entered into the collection in the past 2 years and has at least one identified individual whose name is now searchable in our catalog. So little by little, we're working to save and preserve these pieces of history, but also to make them accessible to researchers and future descendants. And we do have, which I'm regularly updating, we're slowly making sure every single photo that we have is digitized. And then we put those onto our online arm of our collection software, which I can send you the link after this. But we do have an online photo catalog that's always being updated as we scan things in, and that you can search by keyword, by name, by individual, by location, things like that. And that is going to be more and more useful the more we add to it. So, yeah, that's basically what I have. Do you want me to go to the chat and see if there's any questions?
I'll feed them to you if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
So the first thing, when you talked about your mission, you said historical insight. And my question is, what is historical insight?
You know, we've been discussing that recently with our because both Liz and I've been here for 2.5 years. Liz has been here since February. And so we weren't a part of deciding the mission. To me, what it means is the ability to go deeper, you know, because we know a lot of good, straightforward Omaha facts, but we don't necessarily, without going deeper, have insight on those. And so that's how I take it. But you know, one of our resources that we have here too that I didn't mention in the presentation is that we have a whole entire room of biography files that were made full of newspaper clippings, things like that. And some of those tell even deeper stories. And so when people come and ask about a specific person, Liz is able to perhaps enliven that person once again and provide some insight. But yeah, it's an interesting word choice. But you know, whatever you want it to mean.
Okay, good. So the next question is also from Nick Chimino. Where would we find the collection guidelines?
That's a good question. Those aren't on the website as far as I know. Although our
Well,
website,
maybe a better question would be if we wanted to donate something.
Yeah.
And we wanted to kind of look at, you know, what's good and what's not. Is there a way? Do you have anything like that on your website?
So we're planning on creating something like that very soon, because what usually happens is we get a call, email, and it usually comes to the executive director, because that is the email that's on the top of our website, saying, hey, I have this, do you want it? And then it gets forwarded to me, and you know, I'll say yes or I'll say no. And usually it's just based on if it's related to Douglas County, if it could be useful to future researchers, things like that. What we want to do, what I'm hoping will happen in the near future, is to create an actual online form so that people can kind of tell the story of their object, and that will have kind of stipulations on the form that kind of gives you an idea, okay, does my object fit in with this or does it not? I'm hoping that will happen in the near future, and that is something that we've been talking about as far as collections management, things like that, because you know, limited space. But also
I have a follow-on, but I think I want to get down to some of the other questions first.
Okay.
So Tina McGowan, and if you want to open your microphone, Tina, to clarify what you're talking about here, but she says, do you have the theaters? We've been looking for pictures of the Queen Theater at 607 Pierce Street.
Yes. So can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So some of you have heard this story. My grandparents bought the Queen Theater that was located at 607 Pierce Street, we think in the late 30s, early 40s. And they converted it into a duplex, right? And they lived there for all these years after that. And they also owned 611 Pierce. But we don't, and I haven't found them, but I know that in my history, I have seen some pictures of some of the construction or deconstruction of the theater. You know, they left some parts in the house and that, like light fixtures and things like that. Anyway, we don't actually have any pictures of the original theater. And so we were kind of looking for that. And I know, Nick, at one point you said you had looked at the Western Heritage Museum, and they did not have it in their collection.
Yeah, I looked at the Durham photo collection.
Durham,
So
yeah.
Elise, rather than saying yes or no that you have it, unless you know right absolutely whether you have it, could you tell us kind of how do
could
we
we
pose
get,
these kinds of questions to you?
I'm going to hand this
yeah,
one
how
off.
can we get, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna hand this one off to Liz because I think you recently had something about a question about theaters, didn't you? Or you were researching them for our upcoming exhibit.
It was
something
for
like that.
our upcoming
Yeah.
exhibit. But typically with research requests, they come to me. My information is also on the website, under the tab about us. And what you can do, you can either call or best way is to email, any research request. Varies on whatever research is, like Elise had mentioned earlier, it could be a home, it could be a building, it could be anything. And generally, like Elise said, there is so many collections in here, and especially photographs. Again, she's like she said, online, you can search online, or for us here for research requests, the way they're handled is pretty much a first come, first basis, because it's just myself that handles research requests, and I'm only part-time. So I'm only here Mondays through Wednesdays. And we have a research fee, which is $15 per half hour if I got to do some digging. Image requests are also an additional fee. If you just want to see a photo, then I can send a photo, a JPEG with a watermark on it. Or if you're interested in a photo or purchasing a photo, you can, for like, depending on the quality. Typically it's 300 DPI, which is $10, which is a good resolution for photos. But yeah, because I have to go in and dig into the files and everything. So that's why there is a research fee for that. So anytime someone comes in, I just let them know. And also, I also have to allow at least up to 4 weeks for researching, for handling research requests. Sometimes I can find it like that because we do have a collection management system software that I can plug in a keyword, kind of like with the one that's online, and it can pop up. And sometimes it may not be on there, and I have to like crawl into the file cabinet and look for it. So
Okay,
So I
understood.
posted, what I think is your email, Liz, research@douglascohistory.org.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so everybody,
And what's great too, when you email as much detail as possible on what you're looking for is great. I'm not from Nebraska. I'm not from Omaha. So sometimes I'll get research requests like, do you remember, it's the old hotel back, in the 20s, I'm like, I don't know. Need a little bit more detail than that, which is very helpful. Sometimes I'll hit a gold mine. I had one gentleman who sent me an email, a request, the Crossroads Mall. And he said there was a shop in the basement, and it was like, the one that's down, it was down in the basement back in the 70s or something. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't. But I go through many different sites and search engines to look for things. And like Elise said, we have vertical files, not only biographical, but we also have files on businesses, schools, medical clinics. I mean, for everything from crime to religion. Unfortunately, though, those are not digitized. So that is literally crawling into a drawer and looking. So like for this gentleman who was looking for a room, we do have a so I pull that out. There's a lot of newspaper clippings, but what was the gold mine is someone actually saved an old directory map of the mall. And again, back in the 70s. And so then I looked in through this map, and it showed the different floor levels of the mall, and it showed the basement. And it showed out the story he was looking for, because he said it had something to do with printing or something, I think like that. And boom, I found it right there off of this one brochure that just happened to be in the file. So I I was tickled pink to find that because there was no article. I searched articles everywhere, nothing. Google, nothing was popping up to find the specific store that he was looking for. And if someone donated that brochure, and so I was able to find it and be able to answer his question. So if there's any questions, as much detail as possible is a good way to kickstart the research.
Okay, so they send you an email to research at douglascohistory.org, and then explain how the fee thing works again.
Research fees are $15 per half hour. Now, sometimes some of them I can get them like that. And so, of course, I'm not going to charge because it didn't take me a half hour to find it. So others can do a lot more digging, like especially homes. Like some people want to research the history of their home because they know they've been built like in the 1880s. That takes a lot more time. That can take 4 to 5 hours alone because I go through so many search engines. We have the city directories here. I go through that and like find previous owners, and then I go into detail and research these previous owners. Who are they? Where are they from? Where they work? And so I look into that. The Sanborn maps. I go through the Sanborn maps. All kinds of search engines
So
about.
what if they're on a limited budget and they want to say, you know, I can only pay for so much?
I mean, that's fine too. I mean, I'll do what I can for that.
We work with you. And also the other thing that I think is important and interesting about what we do is that a lot of times we'll have researchers who make an appointment just to see certain things, like to see our city directories, or they'll call Liz, they'll ask what we have on whatever, she'll do a quick search and pull what she can, and then a researcher can come in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
I mean, the other option, is you can schedule an appointment with me if you want to come in and look through the files yourself. That's fine. That's no charge. You can just, if you specific and let me know exactly what you're looking for. I can pull the files out of our vertical cabinets, and then you can schedule an appointment with me, and then I'll give you time to sit in our reading room and go through the files and see if there's anything that captures your eye or anything.
Okay, so let's use Jim Beckman's example of pictures of the baseball park at 15th and Vinton Street. So how do you envision that little research project going down?
well, I can answer that question because we had to do that for our exhibit, for this last exhibit. And what we did was we did exactly what Liz said. We went into the vertical files that we have, the paper files, because we didn't immediately have any photos come up in a photo search in our collection software. And what we were able to find was several photos within our vertical files that we ended up using in the exhibit. And so if you're local and you want to come in and do that yourself, we would just pull those files, give them to you, say, maybe you'll find something.
Yeah, we had some correspondence, which I never followed up on, but it was about the Skinner macaroni. And I don't know, Joanne's not with us, but I think, Susan, are you with us still? You know, maybe on her next trip to Omaha, she will want to spend some of her time researching Skinner macaroni at the Douglas County Historical Society. I don't know.
I'd love to. Yeah, I just not in Omaha that often, but
yeah, that's the problem. Yeah,
We
well,
do
I was
small
kind of
file.
hoping to recruit. I was kind of hoping to recruit Mary Ann to that project as well. So if you ever get motivated to go down there and look up Skinner macaroni for us, we'd love it.
Yeah, just give me a
Okay,
call.
so let's see. We have lots of other things in here. Sherry has lots of nice comments about all of the things
I
that
didn't
you've
see that
worked with
Sherry
her
was
on.
on the call. Hey.
Yeah, she is talking about Carmelita and Sherry organized an Italian Second Sunday, and Lucia St. Cyr, Trish Coates, Marianne Sofia, Carmelita de la Guardia, and Sherry Kanger created the Christmas theme room 2 years ago.
Was incredible. It was one of my favorite rooms in the whole house. I mean, it was just, people loved it.
Yeah, and Sherry was on the board for a year.
Mhm.
And you've archived a large amount of photos for the non-Fido family. So that's good.
Oh.
Henrietta says Elise presented a very thorough and entertaining second Sunday presentation on the Metz family. So who are the Metz family?
Yeah. The Metzes are a brewing family of old here in Omaha.
Hey, I'm interested.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what else we got here. Sherry also says Pat Vendetti, Sam Troya, Joe Camellia, and Kim Mateo spoke at the event for Second Sunday. Carmelita and her band performed. And Nick Chimino wants to know, where are these Second Sunday events held?
For now, they're held at the College of St. Mary in Gross Auditorium. That's been a good venue for us, and who knows about the future. I'm gonna run really fast and go get my charger. 1 second.
Does anybody in Omaha need does anybody in Omaha need more information about the College of St. Mary? Yeah, everybody
It's
knows
on
it.
like 72nd and Pacific. It's a good midtown location.
Uh-huh. All right. And Sherry added that Dr. Boland Party created a wonderful museum exhibit that was on display for months. And Jeremy asked about your fee, Liz, which we already said was $15 per half hour.
Yeah, correct.
And Sherry recommends joining. It's only, she says 30 to 40. So I don't know. Do you happen to know what the membership is offhand, Liz?
I think that's right. It's between 30 and 40. It like depends on whether you're getting a family membership or single person membership. Sorry about that.
Sherry also says any artifacts donated no longer belong to the owner. Yeah, so when you give something, you're giving. I mean, it's theirs.
Yeah, we have legal documents that we file with you.
So that leads me into a question that I was thinking of earlier about your collection management policies. And okay, so I donate something and I'm thinking that you're going to hold it in perpetuity. But then your collection guidelines change and you decide, well, that's not really, doesn't work with our collection. So what happens to that object? What sort of steps do you take before you sell it, let's say?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We don't sell them. What we usually do is we have a process that we go through, first of all, to even decide to deaccession it. So what one of us would do, Liz or I or someone else here in the Archive Center, would submit a form. It's called a deaccession form. It's the opposite of accession. We would submit a form kind of explaining why we think it should be deaccessioned, how it doesn't fit in the scope of the collection, or whatever else is going on with it. And then that form is given to our board of directors, and every single person on the board of directors looks at the form. They discuss it. There have been times before where we have submitted a form and it's been rejected by the board, and then we've said, well, what other solutions can we can we do? But if it is approved by the board, it's signed off by whoever recommended it, so me or Liz or whoever, also by the executive director and also by the board president. And then we do not just sell it on eBay. We go through our next process, which is figuring out if there is another cultural institution like us that could make better use of it. And so a lot of times the reason that we deaccession something is because it's from Sarpy County or it's from, and so we reach out to as many places we can that we think might be interested in it before we dispose of it in any sort of way. We do not sell, we don't make profit off of our collection in any way. That would be unethical. But we do what most museums do. After we deaccession it, we look for a new home for it, a better home for it. If we do not find a better home for it, then we do dispose of it. And that we write down exactly what we did with it so that if somebody comes asking for it, we can say that. And the other thing I will say is that we do not deaccession anything that we don't have provenance paperwork on. So if we're just like, well, this obviously doesn't fit in the collection, doesn't matter if we don't know who donated it. So if that got lost over the years, we don't have legal claim to it immediately. In that case, at least in the state of Nebraska, you have to wait 7 years until it's been in, this is law, you have to wait until it's been in your collection for 7 years. So the person who found it said, oh gosh, we don't need this, made a record of, I saw it on this date. 7 years later, someone else finds it. Oh, great, someone found this 7 years ago. And then there's the process. I'm sure it'll be updated at some point, but right now the process is you have to put notices. You have to put notices in the newspaper, a certain number of notices in the newspaper saying, we have this object. We don't really want it for our collection. Does anybody know who donated it? Does anybody? So there have to be a certain number of those done before then we would be allowed to deaccession it. And so because we have limited time to do all the things that we were talking about before, I have an ongoing list of objects that are found in collection like that, but I'm not taking any steps to deaccession them right now because there's enough stuff to do with things that have provenance paperwork.
Okay, well, enough said. Let's see, where were we? Oh, we were talking about photos, and Sherry, I think, responded that the Durham should. Ciao, Silvana. And then the Omaha World Herald Archives may have original photos. So I'm familiar with the Durham. I'm familiar with OPL. Omaha Public Library has a photo collection. I'm familiar with you folks. What is this that she's talking about with the Omaha World Herald Archives?
The Omaha World Herald has, if you subscribe to them, you can also get photos from them, like of any of the articles that have been published. Anytime you can get them. I don't know the quality, the resolution or anything, but that's where some of when I do research on anybody who's looking for a person or home, I go through the World Herald articles or newspapers.com because sometimes there's an article, and sometimes I'll come across one that actually has a picture of the person or the home that I'm searching, which is a great score. And the Durham, the Durham and the Omaha World Herald, I believe, work in a similar way that we do, where if you would like to purchase a photo to use in a publication or for your own personal uses, they will give you a higher resolution once you have paid. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see, what else do we have here?
And just a note too, when it
to
comes
reach
photos,
Liz.
about
Sorry,
photos, Sometimes when people request an image, we do have a rights and reproduction form that needs to be filled out by the person who is requesting the image so that they understand if they utilize it for like publications or newsletter or whatever, that we get a credit line photo and that they don't change the photo, alter it, cut it, or add a ribbon or a bow or something, or a laughing emoji or anything to the photo. So that's part of the process too.
So as a reminder to everyone, it is to reach Liz, to make a research request, it is research@douglascohistory.org, and it's in the chat log. I'll copy it one more time and post it for those who came in later.
Yeah, and unfortunately with photos, we can't identify people unless they're actually, I mean, like there were once a mayor or some, a person of statue, because if we have no way to identify, and that's why when we ask, like, if you have photos or when people do donate, this is not the only institution I've had deal with that, where I find those and it's a celebration of some sort, and yet nothing on the back telling me who these people are, what the celebration is, and nothing.
And so as we go through and scan them, we are looking to see if there are any identifiers, but if there are, they've usually already been put in our collection software. We have so many where people aren't identified, and that's to get people to look through them, but we don't have software that does that. And we're a little bit on a shoestring budget, but as Liz said, yeah, any new photos that we take in, unless it's like taken by an Omaha photographer and you can prove that, and it's of a person that we don't know who they are. If it's a person that we don't know who they are, we won't take it because we can't tell the story and we have limited space,
Okay, so what about digital photos? Do you accept those?
Yeah, we have. It's kind of the same thing. It's a case by case. We prefer to have an original, but we do have a form specific to that. Yeah, so we do. But that's kind of a newer thing. So we're still kind of navigating those waters.
So Stephen Hugg made a comment, I'll take info on meeting times. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but maybe the second Sunday? Is that Stephen?
Yeah,
are you?
The second Sunday, Nick. If there's more information on the second Sunday meeting, I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, so on our website, we have a calendar of events, and our visitor services coordinator is always updating that with the next second Sunday. This month, or for October, it's going to be Omaha Public Library, I think. I think it's genealogy, or is it? I'm not sure. But we have them every single second Sunday of the month, except for in November, because that's when we do our big Christmas extravaganza. But it should be on I can at least tell you when the next one is, and it will be at the College of St. Mary.
And to answer, while she's looking that up, to answer that question, the hours of the archive hours are Monday through Friday, like 10 to 4. I'm only here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays for research purposes, but it's if you want to guarantee quality time, it's recommend call ahead or make an appointment so we can set aside time for you. We're short staffed. There's only 3 of us in this building, if that, at times. So, yeah, we want to make sure we set aside time for you.
And the second Sundays are always at 2 p.m. on that second Sunday at the Gross Auditorium at the College of St. Mary. And let me see if she updated it. I'm sure she did. Oh, it's the last one. But let me just check when the second Sunday is. Okay, so this next one will probably be October. Oh, yeah, October 15th. No, October 8th, because it's the first Sunday. October 1st is a Sunday.
Oh, October 1st.
So it'll be October 8th. But you should be able to check our calendar and find that out.
Actually, I couldn't get it to advance to October. It was stuck on September for some reason.
All right, well, we will talk to our visitor service coordinator about that. We've been having some issues with the website recently, and I think it's all due to the fact that many people have been in charge of this website over the last 10 years, and many people have added things, and we're not always sure who added what 5 years ago that is all of a sudden cramping our style in the present.
So Sherry is asking about unclaimed artifacts.
Posted it.
Did you see that? Unclaimed artifacts of Italian heritage?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we can make a note of that. I don't think that's happened.
Okay.
Most of what we've found that we would like to deaccession are books that are perhaps about like I said, Sarpy County, Council Bluffs. There's a lot of Council Bluffs stuff. There's a lot because we there used to be a focus here on Indian Wars. And so we have a lot of Indian Wars books, but our scope changed. So we don't necessarily want those. I don't think that I've come across anything of Italian heritage that well, and also I will say the thing too is that when we find something that's unique like that, if we have connections within the community, it's much easier to figure something out. So like an example is this this guy came in a couple weeks ago who had found in a building that owns in South Omaha in the ceiling some large framed drawings arc of various Lithuanian things, and apparently Lithuanian clubs used to meet there in like the 30s and 40s, and because of our connections with that community from several exhibits ago, I've been able to reach out to some of the Lithuanians we know and ask about those and see if they're worth taking in, and so or if they should in fact go to the Lithuanians instead of and so if that were to happen with an Italian artifact, that would be the first thing we would do is contact Nick or contact someone else in the because we recently got from the Gentili family, I think about a year ago, we got a Prohibition era wine press from Little Italy that is taking up space in our we do take things of Italian heritage that if it has an amazing story, I mean, and this wine press has an amazing story and the family could tell us. The other thing is that the best thing, my favorite donors are the donors who like to talk because then we can get as much story as we can on the object. So like in that case, we were able to, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty standard practice for us is to, if we know somebody in the community and it's like, oh, this is where the Italians met in the 40s. Obviously, I'm going to reach out to those people first.
So I think we'll probably need to draw this to a close, but I want to say fantastic, both of you. Lots of good information. We got good comments and lots of questions in the chat. And so obviously you guys have done a superb job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Definitely use Liz. Liz is like,
All
oh my
right.
gosh, I'm so overwhelmed.
No.
Okay, we'll skedaddle. Thank you guys so much.
All right, thanks.
Thanks,
Bye now.
Sherry. Thank you, Marianne. Bye.
So, one of the things, since Diane LaFurla is still with me, she sent me a note and said that they were looking for Via Corso on in Carlentini, and she had some cousins that were there with Eleonora, and Via Corso doesn't exist anymore. So I asked our Carlentini knowledge expert, Silvana Ianello, what is Via Corso? And Silvana was able to tell me that that is now Via Duca degli Abruzzi. So at least we know. I asked People Filani the same question, and he said the same thing. So you got 2 thumbs up from people there, Silvana. And he also sent me a map, una mappa di Carlentini con via antiche.
Questo bisognerebbe chiederlo all'ufficio tecnico, ma qualche giorno glielo chiederò. Giovanni Spagnolello.
The resolution wasn't real great on the images. I asked him if he could send me a list. The streets, there aren't that many streets in Carlentini when I was looking at it. It's a nice grid, it's laid out. There's like, I don't know, maybe 12 streets in one direction and 20 streets in the other direction. Maybe he could just tell me all the ones that names have been changed. So we'll see. But that would be good to have kind of a reference list of old names versus current.
I live in via Duca degli Abruzzi, numero 171.
Yeah, and Alfio Caltabiano lives there too, right?
Sì, via Duca degli Abruzzi, posto 173. We are near, molto vicino.
I'm looking for his email address. If you can get his email address for Alfio Caltabiano, I'd really like to get that. Somebody from Omaha is calling me. Should I take it or not? Oh, Stephen Hugg. Maybe I will. Hi, Stephen. Did you mean to call me? I'm still in the middle of the Zoom meeting. Okay, well, if you want to jump back in, you can, but we're okay. Okay, super. Thank you. So he thought the meeting was over. Maybe he'll rejoin. But
Nick, now there is Scott Regalia in via Duca degli Abruzzi 171.
So Scott Regalia is in Carlentini, and
Via Duca degli Abruzzi 171.
So did he rent a house there or what?
No, è mio cugino, niente renta. La mia
Nuccio,
casa.
do we still have Nuccio? Nuccio had to leave. It's too bad.
Dove è Lucio?
Oh, no, there you are. Nuccio.
Lucio,
Can you ask?
mi ha chiesto se ho affittato la casa a mio cugino. Ma io non gliel'ho affittata.
Una alla volta.
Ascolta, mi ha detto che se io ho affittato la casa a mio cugino. Io non gliel'ho affittata, gliel'ho data.
Okay, so Silvana said that she gave her house to her cousins for free, now rented.
Generous.
Yeah.
Generous.
Prossimamente faremo. Già Erika l'ha messo su Booking per il futuro.
Silvana, non ti sento bene.
Erika l'ha messa su Booking per il futuro, diciamo. Adesso no, adesso c'è Scott. per una settimana ci sarà lui.
Okay. Erica, I put this on the booking website, so it can be booked by public, but not at the moment that her cousin is there. Silvana, ma via del Corso, ma non era ok, ma non era perché correvano i cavalli o no?
Anche.
Because I'm just referring to the name of this street, the old name of this street, because they used to be used as a horse racing. That's what I remember was said, that the Via del Corso means corsa, like racing. Yes.
Ma perché
like
era
racing.
Una via
So,
dove ci abitavano tutte le persone più nobili, diciamo.
she said that it used all the noblemen used to live in there, Via Duca degli Abruzzi, Via del Corso.
So this is what people Folletti told me, and
Yeah, that's
it
right.
matches
Yeah,
with what you're saying.
Yeah. It is said. It is said. It is said. It used to be. Yeah, it was called Corso, a horse race.
In effetti tutte le feste, le cose si svolgevano
for the festa San Joseph.
E poi era la via che è subito dopo la piazza, quindi era un po' riservata, però vicino alla piazza.
Yeah, because it is very close to the main square.
Se tu vedi per esempio la casa che c'è di fronte alle grotte di mio marito,
sì.
quella casa antica che è rimasta all'angolo della piazza, ha l'ingresso principale da via degli Abruzzi, non da via Abruzzi.
Vero, sì.
L'interno e tantissime
sì.
case nobiliari, se tu vai dalla piazza verso il convento, sono in quella via, quelle che sono rimaste giustamente.
Yeah, she says that via Duca degli Abruzzi, the former Via del Corso, was the street where the majority of noble people used to live. Once upon a time.
So I have some questions about some of the graves in Lentini. So I'm gonna show you some of the graves that.
Anika, I thank you for my father's grave picture that he sent it to me. Thank you very much.
So I think this is spelled, which I've never seen this name before. So we have two graves.
Giovanni, posso dire Mazzeo, forse.
Mazzeo, double Z.
Oh, is that what it is? Double Z? Mazzeo?
Yeah, I think so. It's misspelled. Yes.
Okay. So I can change that. He's probably a male since his name is Giovanni.
Giovanni, yeah.
So let me see what some of my other questions were. So there was no date of death given on one of the stones. I guess that was kind of it, but so if I go back to that list of names, I think I already should. Oh yeah. So this picture though is interesting.
Mazzeo, visto come è scritto è un nome antico, però poi noi in siciliano abbiamo chiamato Mazzeo.
Sì.
So what does this mean, notar?
Notaio Mazzeo.
Sì.
Notario?
Mazzeo.
Sì.
Certo, perché se tu lo leggi come se fosse latino, Max Matteo. E in
Why
Sì,
would they
vero.
show the XHEO instead of
strano,
the
forse
Z?
perché il nome è
Z?
greco.
It's a sort of transliteration, I think.
Okay.
I think.
Quindi può essere anche vicino.
Sì, vero. Sì.
Okay, so I'm going to make a note and
Non l'avevo mai visto.
whoever had this, whoever posted this,
Ho visto sarà una domanda e
Ci volevano domandare a Nino Micale, ma ancora per la seconda volta mi ha detto che era impegnato stasera. Quella di Lentini.
certo sarà un modo di scrivere Matteo.
Sì, sì, secondo me è quello.
Yeah, no, I'd never seen that in any of the records. Guess I should have said, change that to Mazzeo. So this record was put up there quite some time. So
Quindi
this
vuol dire
one,
che la pronuncia è uguale sia scritto in un modo che nell'altro.
Sì. Nick, the pronunciation is almost the same. Mazzeo, Maxeo, that's the same.
Matteo.
yeah, because
sometimes these are noble families, so these are important people, VIP usually. They use the old-fashioned transcription coming from Latin. So I think it comes from there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Non ti sento.
No, dico la parola Max Heo avrà un significato in latino. Poi...
Sì, infatti gli ho detto sarà una trasposizione del latino per dare importanza a sto nome. Ricorrevano a queste lettere latine che erano più auliche, insomma, più importanti.
So Bonnie, you weren't on when we looked at this earlier. These are the pictures that Erica took for me today. Not those particular ones, but those I have 9 photos that I need to transcribe. And then if I look at the recent memorials, these are the ones that I have. I'll show this one more time because I just think it's so cool. So in addition to being able to zoom in closely on these pictures, because they have a nice road. Look how far we can zoom in. That's amazing.
Olivia
This is
That's a good food.
Leave on the
matching.
Yes. La realtà.
Yeah, mint.
Oh, mint. Okay, mint and olive.
Yes. The herb that you put in order to season, to give flavor to olives. That's a good combination of oliva and mint.
So the wonderful
Una bella coppia, però.
Erica is using the Find a Grave app to upload, and it actually puts a satellite coordinate or the GPS coordinate of the grave. So that grave we were just looking at, this is where it is.
La localizzazione della tomba con questa app.
Addirittura.
Perfetto.
7
infatti.
gradi e 14.
Sì, sì, ma
14,59. Noi siamo precisi sulla linea dell'ora centrale.
sì. Guarda, vedi, addirittura localizza la tomba, se la devono cercare, basta che vedono la GPS e arrivano. Perfetto.
If you go to the page of the and you click on that, it'll show you all of the graves with so you can see what I get excited. Kind of weird, but so she took a lot of pictures. Over about 250 pictures. So you can use those GPS coordinates to find the graves. All right, people. So what else? What do we need to talk about?
Non ho capito che hai detto.
Che cosa vogliamo parlare?
No, non lo so.
So, Silvana, quanti americani ci sono a Carlentini? So, how many people from Nebraska have you got in Carlentini at the moment?
Casa mia è 3. Ma no, i miei cugini non sono del Nebraska, sono del Connecticut.
Ah, ok.
Yeah,
so I saw some pictures of the Rotellas with the
Sì, ma già
mayor.
se ne sono andati,
Ah, ok.
Ora il giorno 28 verranno in Manganà.
Ah, sì, vero.
So the Rotellas, I don't think they've met up with Silvana, but let's see. Diane was just telling us she had cousins that were there. What were your cousins' names, Diane? Can you tell us?
Well, the last name was Calabro.
Calabro.
Oh, my cousins who were there in Carlentini.
Yes.
Tom and Mary Morinelli. And they were with Eleonora after the Rotellas. And the Rotellas are there with people by the Janet and Louis Pole, P-O-L. And we are actually dog and house sitting for them.
Yeah, so I made calendar notes for
and Tom and Mary Mornelli are still in Sicily.
So Scott and his family arrived in Catania yesterday. And let's see, the 27th, Jeff Ray is in Sicily. I don't know, did he ever get in touch with you, Silvana? Jeff Ray?
Silvana, Jeff Ray ha preso contatti con te?
No.
No? Okay.
Sono Sebastiano Manganaro e già ho avvisato i suoi parenti che non si incontreranno il giorno 28 nel bar Puglisi.
No, she's just creating connections with Manganaro and their families. They are going to meet quando è che si incontrano?
Giorno 28, dopodomani.
They are going to meet on the 27, on the 28.
Addirittura ho telefonato anche al comune, a Fino di Mauro, perché vogliono il certificato di nascita. E siccome quando vengono loro il comune è chiuso, perché quello mi dice Fino mi ha detto te lo faccio e poi mi tiro da qui. E anche ho telefonato anche a Militello.
She has already arranged the meeting with the clerk, with Rino Di Mauro for the certificate from the council. And then she has also asked the Comune in Militello for another certificate, I think.
Sì, mi ha risposto una signora molto gentile che io non conoscevo.
So
Dalla
they will
Regione.
get certificates. Quindi porteranno a casa il certificato, no? Da lì.
Sì, la signora questa qua di Militello mi ha detto che me lo manda per posta elettronica, ma siccome loro ci vanno di mattina a Militello, gli ho detto se ci volete andare a trovarla questa signora Pietone, che è stata così gentile a rispondermi, lo possono prendere anche loro personalmente.
Okay, they can go to Militello and get the certificate from their hands, or if they prefer, the clerk from the council can send that through or via mail.
Però questi certificati,
She's been so kind to do this, because you know Militello is not
questa
Carlentini,
signora,
is another comune.
eppure la
part.
signora è stata gentilissima, veramente.
Yeah, she's been so kind to do that.
Però qui non mi diceva che questi certificati che loro vogliono in effetti non servono a nulla, perché per avere la cittadinanza si deve fare, si deve fare tutta una procedura che non c'è neanche a fare il consolato americano, perché per avere loro la cittadinanza italiana, partendo dall'Italia, dovrebbero farsi la residenza a Carlentini, starci per un tot di mesi. Insomma, è tutta una procedura particolare che è difficilissima, perché come fai a prenderti la residenza? Ti devi prendere una carta in affitto, un contratto, devi avere una lunga permanenza. Insomma, la via più semplice è il consolato, anche se poi dicono che è molto lunga perché il consolato non lo scrive. Che poi il consolato scrive all'ufficio di Carlentini, per esempio, e si fa dare tutti i documenti che loro vogliono. Mentre in quel modo la via è molto più complicata.
So Silvana says that actually, did you get this, Nick? Did you get what she said? Now, she said that even though they get this certificate from their hands, but actually it's not so useful, because when you apply for, at your consulate, well, the American consulate will ask the documents straight away to the office in Sicily directly. So they did not want that you bring your own certificate. So if you want it, okay, but actually they will do this the two authorities.
Okay.
Così. Se no dovrebbero chiedere la residenza a Carlentini e fare un'altra, cioè si può fare in due modi la procedura, partendo dall'America o partendo dall'Italia. Però partendo dall'Italia bisogna avere la residenza, insomma, sottostare un periodo.
Certo. It's easy if you apply in the States, if you ask for citizenship in the States, because if you apply that in Italy, you have to stay there, to rent a house, to have your own place where to live, and it's not so easy. It's easy if you start from the States. I think, penso che stanno facendo tutti così.
Non lo so, perché allora questi certificati non servono a nulla. A chi li danno? Non ho idea, mi sembra strano.
Okay, she thinks that who are you going to give this certificate that you get from Italy? Do you know anyone who has already done that?
Oh yeah, actually Scott has already done it, her cousin, and he's well acquainted with the process.
Silvana dice che Scott l'ha fatto.
Scott è un avvocato e sa quello che fa. Ha capito? Per cui magari
Scott has all the expertise to do that. He's a lawyer, so he knows what to do.
Infatti ha spiegato che lui l'ha potuto fare perché i nonni, quando è nato suo padre, i nonni non avevano ancora la cittadinanza americana, per cui suo padre risulta cittadino italiano e lui di conseguenza ha acquisito la cittadinanza quasi in automatico e l'ha trasmessa anche ai suoi figli. Questo lui diceva.
Ok.
Per cui magari il certificato gli serve per capire se in effetti avevano la cittadinanza. Non lo so, penso che sono delle ricerche che si possono fare anche in America. come ha fatto Scott, mentre Scott l'ha fatto nel
Okay, Scott has had
Wanted
a
to kind of
faster
change
way to
gears
get.
here for a minute. So if we could just, I just wanted to talk to a couple other people before the meeting
No,
ends.
go ahead.
So Pat Kruger and Kat Connolly, we have a meeting coming up. Do you want to talk about, kind of, is there anything that you need me to prepare for that meeting? Or do you just want to review what I've
Just
already done?
review, and if you have anything more from Lentini, any of those blank spots that, in fact, when you showed the grave marker, Amenta, was my grandmother's maiden name, and who knows? We could be related. I don't know. So, yeah, but we'll be there. 12 o'clock Thursday? Oh, I think.
Yeah, I think it's 12 o'clock your time, which is.
Okay. To you.
Yeah, 12 o'clock your time, which is 2 o'clock my time.
Okay, we'll be there. Thank you.
All right, good. Yeah, I found a cousin in one of the pictures that Erica posted in Lentini, the Tomasellos, and I made a note on there that we shared an ancestor.
Great.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that Amenta and see if there's any other Amenta names that she comes up with in the near future. I know she's going to go back, but I don't know exactly when. I need to talk to her about that. So Joe Nigro, I welcome you back. What's going on? Anything in particular on your agenda?
No, but listening right now reminded me that I do need to again contact the Italian consulate about my citizenship process.
Yeah.
We're approaching 3 years since I set the paperwork in.
Not easy. I learned that cut. What happened?
Yeah, but
my grandfather decided to naturalize before my father was born, so that cuts me off from my path.
Yeah. And I did see those photos of the Rotellas on the Facebook page. And I worked there when I worked at the bakery when I was in high school. My father was close friends with Lou Rotella Sr., who's deceased. And Lou Rotella Sr. was married to an Anzalone. And the Rotellas, I think, are Calabrian. But
right.
Anzalones are from Carlentini. So when I make progress on my citizenship, I'll let you know.
Yes, please do.
And
so where are you in the process? Have you compiled everything that you need as far as documents?
Oh, it was submitted to the Chicago consulate almost 3 years ago. And I've never heard anything since then. It was because of the pandemic. They didn't have me go in person. I just submitted it. But
quindi dopo 3 anni ancora non l'ho avuta.
Non sa nulla.
Non ha nulla, questo è lunghissimo. ma anche dalla parte italiana sarebbe bello.
Pat Connolly, with the end of the writer's strike, is there any prospect in horizon of work for you?
Well, it's a beginning of an end. They still have to vote on it, and then from voting on it, it's ratification, which is another 6 weeks. So 2 weeks for a vote, 6 weeks for a ratification. They get the yes vote from their members. They can do a right to work where they, let them go to work before the ratification process happens. But we're still in a standstill until SAG settles. So, yep. Baby steps.
SAG is the Screen Actors Guild, right?
Yeah. So I've listened to one entertainment lawyer podcast that said they might meet in maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Like if the WGA votes yes to ratify the offer, that gives the leverage for them to start their discussions, because they can say, we offered this, and start having counterpoints. And then we might not even start before the end of the year. If it gets too close to December, they might just say, let's just wait till 2024. So be an interesting Christmas. But, yeah.
Se avete qualche curiosità su Carlentini, volete notizie, chiedetelo. Non so cosa dire.
What'd you say?
If you would like to have more information about Carlentini or any curiosity, please ask. Susan, may I ask you a question? Maybe I've already asked you about our Peruccello cousins.
Right.
I saw the picture that you took in front of the door, and you said, this used to be my mother's house. That house, Salvatore and Carmela Peruccello used to live. They were my cousins.
Right.
Okay.
And
how
are they related?
Yeah, to you.
Oh, well, so my grandfather was Philadelphia Franco, and he had 2 sisters and a brother. His youngest sister was Giuseppe Franco, and she married Alfio Pericello.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Because I thought I asked Nick, did I ask you if I was related to him? And you said it was so far that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll work on getting that up on the screen.
Okay.
Let's keep
Because
talking.
that's what I thought you told me, Nancio, and I go, oh, okay.
The only thing that I know from my father's side is that one Peruccello left Carlentini to go to Omaha, but I don't know anything else. I've just I've heard that, but never, no letters, no communication. It's totally different from my mother's side, where they had a lot of contacts, a lot of connections. So it's just something that arises my curiosity, because you said that these are my cousins and they are also my cousin from the Peruccello side.
Right. And I don't know anything about the Pericellos at all on that. That's why I've been trying to find out information. But I know my dad always said there was a Pericello in Omaha, where I grew up, that they were related to us, but I'm not sure how.
Okay.
That's something we have to work on, but I don't.
Yeah.
No,
because I used to live near that house.
Oh,
the house you took the picture, so that's why.
Right. I mean, the house is for sale now, so they were trying to talk us into buying the house.
Yes, because Turi and Melina were not married.
Right. Neither one of them in that. So the house but actually Marinella Catalano, she takes care of the house because she was very close to them, because
I know.
Children of Maria Franco, who was Giuseppe's oldest sister. But a lot of them no relations. So
No
Pericello.
idea.
Okay, so Nuccio's paternal grandmother,
This is my grandmother. Yes.
yeah, Pasquale Piricello.
Yeah.
And
Because I think Alfio was born around 1892, 93. So maybe they were sister and brother, Alfio and Pasquale.
No. The other one was no Alfio was Luciano. No,
Oh,
I remember
another.
another Peruccello. Yeah. Well, my grandmother's brother was Luciano.
Okay.
I remember. I still remember him.
C'è un Rosario Peruccello qua, vedo. E Rosario Peruccello è parente tuo, quello che è sposato con
Saro Peruccello, sai
Sandra.
quello che travagliava al comune. Saro Peruccello travagliava al comune.
Conosco Rosario Peruccello che è super giù alla mia età.
it starts with Susan and then to her father,
Sua moglie è
Right.
maestra.
Grandfather.
then to her great grandfather, and then her second great grandmother, Maria Cucuzza.
Cucuzza.
Right.
Cucuzza.
Yeah, double Z. As the previous one, the Matteo. This is the real one.
Sebastiano is her father.
Yeah.
And then it starts going down to Nuccio's line. Pasquale, Rosa, and then there's Rosa was married to a Monaco, so they had Giuseppe Monaco, Sebastiano Cornelia was her husband. So yeah, it's through marriage. And then it goes to Lucia Fuccio, who is his mother. And then it starts back down.
Pretty
Oh,
far.
this is mine. This is mine. Yeah, this is mine.
So
okay,
it was pretty
far down.
Convoluted. Second cousin, two-time removed of the wife of Nuccio's first cousin, 3 times removed. So it didn't come up with a Piricello, even though you both have Piricello in your tree. It did. I don't think your Piricellos are related.
Okay, but I don't know. My
okay, that's fine.
We tried.
Your Piricello, though, was
Philadelphia's
husband
of my grandfather's sister, Philadelphia's youngest sister.
Okay, so
Giuseppe.
And then we pull up his siblings.
Right.
Then go to Giuseppe. Maybe, Alfio. And a daughter, Melina.
Yeah, that's Melina.
She's
the one I'm referring to.
Right.
Melina and Salvatore.
Because Giuseppe died fairly young. She was 40 years old. Now, my relative Marinella said she thought she died in childbirth, but there's no record.
Lucia, ma questi Peruccello qua hanno qualche cosa a vedere con Franco Peruccello?
Yes, they're 1885 Alfio, yeah.
Non so se tu li conosci. Piano Peruccello era quello che lavorava, faceva ragioniere.
Ah, sì, no, quelli sono cugini. No, Peruccello, un marito della Marchisi è parente nostro.
No, questo Peruccello che ti dico io penso che forse non è parente tuo. Io sono due fratelli, Franco e Emiliano, che poi è morto. Piano Peruccello si è sposato con la Garrotto, la sorella di Alfio Garrotto. Ti ricordi che l'altra sera c'erano qua a casa mia, Alfio Garrotto con sua moglie?
Say,
La sorella
Nick?
di quest'altro garrotto era sposata con Sebastiano Felice. Non ricordo più.
Non te lo so dire, no.
Ma
Non te lo so
sono
dire.
più grandi di noi, figurati.
No, no.
So, okay, I'm looking up this lady right here,
Yeah.
and I have her.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right, yes. That's
Here they are,
Elena
yes.
and Salvatore and my grandfather's sister and then the husband. Very nice at the cemetery.
Yeah, these are the two people we are talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
Salvatore and Carmela. Yeah,
Right, and
I remember
Marinette.
that.
So
Salvatore spent some time in Catania Hospital, and my cousins who used to work there helped him a lot. That's why we used to meet him regularly. When I went back to Carlentini, you know, I lived in the neighborhood, so I always met them. Very nice people, really nice.
Yeah, they're very nice.
Yeah.
all right. So I set Pasquale Percello,
yeah,
as the home person in my tree, and then Giuseppe Franco as the target. And I came up with a wife of the first cousin. Is that what you saw there?
Okay. So he comes from their mother's side. Yes, now I understand.
Is that what you came up with, Nick?
I was doing between Susan Finley and Sebastiano Belfiore. So
well, I went up one level above that. I think on both sides. So I was looking at Pasquale Percello.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other side was Giuseppe Franco.
Correct.
The one that was born in May of 1896.
Yes.
And then the relationship I got was the wife of the first cousin.
So that's pretty close then. So are you related to one of these people on this grave then, Nuccio?
Apparently, I'm related to the two of them, Salvatore and Carmela, as long as I know. But I think that Susan is related to them through the Franco, to their mother.
You're correct.
I'm related to them through their father. Now I get to know that. Thank you very much for that.
Your cellos.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. So this the mystery has been solved.
Well, I wanted to ask you last week, Nazio, and I was typing it, but somebody did the chat and then you left. So I'm glad. Thank you, Nick, for figuring this out.
I use it just for a second. And
figured it out.
So on mine, you know, I go down one generation, and so it's like first cousin once removed for the children of Alfio Percello, Giuseppe Franco.
Okay.
And then going back to the home person, where is that? Back to, let's see, where are we? Alfio. So going back to Pasquale Percello, okay, is the home person, and then I did one of the children for Alfio Percello, Giuseppe Franco, and then, you know, that's a first cousin once removed. So, and I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if I really got Susan in my tree here or not, because she's still alive.
Good to know.
That I know of. And I don't usually put living people in here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
language,
there's
because
there
I've
there you
tried
go.
to, see how people are related
Yeah.
and foster.
Okay.
Right. The
reuse.
relation. There you go.
Yeah.
So okay. So I have for Susan, I do have her in my tree, and it came up with a relationship to I keep forgetting the first scale.
Stepa?
No, Pasquala.
Oh,
Porcello.
Esquire. Okay.
Yeah, and then Susan's relationship to her is grandniece of the wife of the first cousin.
Okay.
And I don't know if that helps or not.
I don't know. It's confusing, but
Confusing, but
grandniece of wife of first cousin.
grandniece. So your grandfather or your grandmother would have a closer relationship, is basically what that's saying.
Okay.
Yeah, there is the wife I think they're talking about is Giuseppe Franco.
Okay. Yeah.
The wife of Alfio.
Yeah, that's
Porcello.
right. Yeah, Giuseppe.
So yeah, you are the grandniece of Giuseppe Franco.
Right.
Okay, so now that we got that done, it's 3:55 Central Time. It's
And
10:55 Italian time.
Oh, my granddaughter's playing volleyball. So. Okay, another great discussion. Thanks, everybody. See you next week. Bye, cousin. Some hugs.
Ciao, ciao.
All right.
Ciao tutti.
Have a good week.
Go to bed.
Ciao.
Good night.
Ci vediamo
Ciao, ciao,
la
Silvana.
prossima volta.
Buonanotte.
Ciao, Sherry. Ciao.
Buonanotte.
Ciao.
Ciao a tutti.
Buonanotte.
Ciao.